You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drake Wing Gaming, and something me on Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Devil's Gambit. So let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you are up, and let's go. Alright. 3 slots are vacant. He closes the case and leaves it on a bedroll. The valley's hazeleaf brings out the most primal parts of men. Thanks to the Duke, the people of Renai are tired and angry. The lions are not only far from home, but surrounded mostly by people cold to them and rumors of demons. Imagine what would happen if they were to lose the capacity to hold back their anger, their fear. And the hazeleaf made the first lion scared. Hence him running away and made the other two that followed him attack their companions. Is that it? Cadgan nods. God, it must have been horrible. Some men in the hospital looked as though a beast did that to them. I assume they used the tranquilizers on the afflicted. Yes, it's best to put them to sleep until the hazeleaf's effect passes. In any case, according to the logbook, yesterday, part of the group that had difficulties getting back to the camp from one of the deeper parts of the valley. Since it was getting late, they took a risk and crossed a hazeleaf patch to come back. They were wearing masks, so it should have been fine, but it's possible the lion committed a mistake, or that his mask was defective, so he inhaled some fumes. The rest played out like we already heard, but that hazeleaf made his fear for the demons manifest, and he thought he was seeing things in the dark. We'll know for sure once he recovers consciousness. I guess so. Shall we inspect his mask? I'm not very savvy with those. We'll take it to Renai for somebody else to do that. Are we done here then? Not quite. I'd like to find the hazeleaf they said the lion and the other two ran into. The Duke won't be satisfied otherwise, and neither will I. Oh? I'm starting to worry about the townspeople believing in the demon rumor. If hysterics take over the town, that won't end well. We can't leave a smidge of doubt as to what happened. We're heading deeper then. My shoulders rise as I take a deep breath and exhale. Alright, let's get it over with. You could stay here if you're scared. Please, think of your safety for a moment. What if something happens and you're not out when you're alone out there? I don't know, Hector. Do you think you could drag me here? Were I unable to move? I could give you medical attention or call for help. I haven't restocked on elixir since I left Arwell's nest, but still. Fair enough. Just stay behind me. As if he needs to say it. Once we leave the camp, I feel like a little kangaroo too scared to abandon his mother's pouch. Or Cadgan's back in my case. The wolf readies his axe, on the lookout for danger. Through the ever-growing vegetation, I sense the mountain's eyes staring at us. Beneath the earth, endless spindly fingers follow our movements, never leaving the sole of our feet. The tree branches creep closer, and I'm about to pull Cadgan's cape and shout to watch out when I notice that, rather, they're rocking back and forth. Birds take off from the treetops, the flapping of their wings quickly fading in the distance. We halt as heaven and earth alike suddenly tremble. I clutch the wolf's cape, but soon it becomes apparent that, though big enough to be confused for a Titan step, the source of the tremors is too far away to be a concern. At least Cadgan thinks so, considering he resumes his march. The tremors return intermittently, but we ignore them. That is until Cadgan suddenly stops and I bump into him. What happened? What happened? The path ahead looks rather undisturbed. Stay back, Hector. Ooh, excellent art. He throws his cape over his shoulder like a makeshift scarf, and after scanning the terrain, pushes a patch of tall grass aside with his blade. The green strands give place to pulsing purple veins spread across the ground, leaves with razor-sharp edges growing out of them. Second hill, water time. I got the, Perrier water. I got the good shit. Oh! It's good stuff. I lurch back, thinking I see them slither, but that's not it. They're still, yet they aren't. One time I was reading under a tree when it became cloudy. Fearing getting caught in the rain and Dad scolding me for ruining his book, I figured it was time to head home. However, I noticed while closing the book that the pages became translucent under the sunlight, so I stayed out a bit longer, holding out pages to the sky and watching the letters fade in and out as the clouds passed by. This in front of me now is just like that. But how? Am I hallucinating? Cadgan, do you see that? What is that? The wolf hops back and fixes his cape. That's our culprit. High Valley hazeleaves. Let's get out of here. By the time we're back to the camp, fatigue weighs down my legs and lungs. As a silver lining, Cadgan lets me hold onto his arm the rest of the way to Renai. I just wish I wasn't out of breath and in pain. Perhaps if he'd carried me instead. No, Hector, bury the thought. Upon returning to the town, one of Manol's guards intercepts us near the hospital. Cadgan hands him the mask and informs him of our findings. He makes it brief since he's more concerned about getting to Arwell's nest. We stop in front of the tavern. Cadgan is reluctant to let me go, trying to hold my hand as I walk toward the door. While I let his touch linger for a bit, I break contact with a chuckle. Come on, I'm not so tired that I can't walk. I should have figured it'd be too much to walk to the camp and then back. Don't worry, I'm fine. Everything below my waist as well as part of my torso is burning, but I can still force a smile. Is it weird that... Never mind. No, go ahead. Is it weird that I had fun? It was scary, but I don't know why. I also enjoyed it. I feel I shouldn't, considering the town situation. Cadgan shrugs. You've always had a taste for adventure. Don't think too hard about it. He pats me on the shoulder. Get some rest, Hector. You'll need it. All right, see you later. A sigh escapes me as the wolf shows me his back and walks away. Despite my exhaustion of how much I want to get in bed and snore until morning, letting go of him isn't any easier. After drinking some water and eating a loaf of bread, I head straight to my room and do just that. I consider dropping onto the bed as I am, but my clothes feel hot and itchy. I need something fresh. However, once I change to get in bed, the dreams come easily. The expedition continues across the next few days, but it's a short-lived attempt. The Eye Valley chews the remaining men and spits them out in no time. So you know. Manola isn't happy with Cadgan's reports, insisting the accidents are the work of demons. However, without evidence to back his claims, those are little more than ramblings of a desperate man. The busy days that follow keep me from thinking much about Cadgan. By the time work slows down and I return to my normal schedule, my thoughts are more in order. As for what I experienced in the Eye Valley, the mountain's eyes, the earth's fingers, the rumbling, and that ever-changing vine, most would forget all about it, bury it somewhere, hoping it never surfaces. However, when I recall the moment Cadgan asked me to come with him, his hand as we crossed the forest, my fingertips gripping his cape, my arm around his on the way back, I can't help but hold that ember close to my chest. New journal entries have been unlocked. Act 1, Chapter 9. Cadgan. Alright, let's look at that journal entry real quick. What do we got? Finbar, a blacksmith from Anai. I consider him my uncle. We always stopped by his shop whenever we arrived in town. Dad never spoke too much of their relationship, but it was clear as day they cared for each other. Eye Valley. A cursed land located past Renai's forest. It's where the demons resided before they disappeared. When I first arrived at Renai 11 years ago, it felt like there was something different about the air, the earth. And later, my hunch turned out to be right when I learned from Dad that Renai's herbs are more potent than usual. Cadgan once said that it was because of the valley. I'm inclined to believe him. The valley's outer layer. The valley's threshold is delimited in dilapidated ruins and mountains full of holes. Past those, the valley begins assaulting your senses. An overwhelming spring-like smell, a constant ringing in your ears, vegetation so dense you can't see where you're headed. Cadgan also said something about moving pits. And then there was that rumbling in the hazeleaf. You know what? I don't think I'm going back there anytime soon, if ever. Ooh, hazeleaf. Hazeleaf comes in two variants. In Renai in the forest, you could confuse it for a normal plant. Completely unremarkable if it wasn't for its numbing smell and purple midribs, but is harmless. The valley hazeleaf is a mass of purple vines and leaves that move in a way I can't quite describe, and that brings out the most primal part of men. They should call them by different names. Nuts slipped from my arms and rolled down the riverbank. Dust and pebbles flew back as I ran to Cadgan's side. Each time the wolf had pulled at his collar, I had thought nothing of it. Even today, when he had been doing it with such frequency, seeing him kneeling, gripping his neck while he gasped for air as though his life depended on it, was like being slapped in the face. How oblivious could I be? Hadn't I learned from Dad to spot signs? Symptoms? But there was no time to regret my foolishness. I had to focus, figure out a way to help him. Was it because of the cyclical lethargy? We'd been checking him every day. It's very unlikely for that, or that some other illness to be the cause. Dad would have noticed it. Wait, no. Water time. The good shit. Le Perrier water. It's my terrible attempt at being French. Perrier water. An allergy. An allergy? He ate nothing unusual, nor do I see anything around that could have caused a reaction. Could I even make it to the mansion? There was no time to brew anything, and you weren't sure the elixirs he had would help. I didn't even know what was wrong with him. Then you remembered Dad. You had to call Dad. Cadgan stopped me before I could run off. Although in tears and heaving, he still had enough strength to grab me by the arm and pull me back so hard it seemed he was trying to make me fall into the river. I got spun around and fell on my face. What are you doing? Just don't go. Don't be a kid. You need medical attention. No, I'm fine. I didn't understand, but seeing that stubbornness, I was inclined to believe him. His grip, both on me and his throat, relaxes a little. Where are the nuts? Stop joking around. Cadgan stared longingly at the nuts, as though not being able to reach them was hurting him more than having trouble breathing. With a sigh, I went to get them for him. Some had rolled off and fell into the river. Nothing that I could do about that. Thanks. He cracked the nut open and ate it, still holding his... The water was bubbling. He cracked the nut open and ate it, still holding his throat all the while. After a moment, put a finger on my chin and closed my until then gaping mouth for me. You're welcome. No, wait, what was that? What happened to you? It was nothing. If you don't tell me, I'm asking Dad. You won't. I will if you think you're ill. But I'm not. I mean, besides the lethargy thing or whatever, it's just... Despite my eyes meeting his ears when standing next to each other, it was easy to forget how small Cadgan was. I remembered that for the first time in a long time as I watched him curl up, hugging his knees. He lowered his gaze, but I still caught a glimmer of tears pooling in his eyes. Do you ever feel like someone is squeezing your chest real hard? Or, I don't know, like you have a knot in your throat? And that's so tight you can't breathe anymore. He choked, unable to keep up the act. Were his tears out of desperation because he couldn't breathe, or did they hold a deeper meaning? I didn't understand until weeks later when Cadgan said it in a way I could get it. But until then, the image of the wolf on the ground, as though being choked by an invisible force, became stuck in my head. Whenever I closed my eyes or my thoughts drifted to the wolf, his anguished expression was there, waiting for me. When Dad asked me if something was wrong, unable to withstand his gaze on top of everything else, I told him what had happened. First, you shouldn't have kept this a secret. You should have let me know immediately. I'm sorry. I didn't raise you to hide things from me, but I digress. We've examined Cadgan dozens of times, yet the Prismillium hasn't revealed an imbalance that could explain what you described. But the Prismillium has its limits. Namely, it can't show us abnormalities in the fifth layer, reason. Then that's where the imbalance is. Isn't that bad? Don't be scared. Although we lack a good understanding of reason, it is but another layer. Illnesses related to it aren't so uncommon, and many aren't life-threatening. As for if this is related to the cyclical lethargy, I doubt it. We can't be sure, but that doesn't mean we should make baseless assumptions. Okay, but can we help him then? Dad hummed as he rubbed his chin. I know this colleague that studies reason, and he's told me about a few cases similar to what you described. Hector, have you noticed him acting strange in any other way? For instance, has he been sad, angry, or scared? He always seems angry to me, but that day he was sad more than anything. I asked him if he wanted to look for nuts because I thought that'd cheer him up. He snapped his fingers. Yes, he's always angry. Do you know why? I couldn't look at his face as I said the next few words. The moments I shared with Cadgan, what I learned about him, those were only hours. I felt unfair to share it, even with Dad. But if it led me to understanding the wolf better, maybe even helping him, perhaps it was a worthy sacrifice. He doesn't want to be here, and he hates the Duke. Once I thought he hated doctors, but no, he just trusted us because the Duke hired us. It's believed that the mind isn't that different from the less abstract parts of our bodies. Similarly to how you can injure your leg by overexerting it. Going through certain situations can injure the mind. Cadgan has been captive and kept away from his community for a long time, at the mercy of a man he hates, all because he fell victim to an unknown disease. It's not surprising that it's affecting him, no? Alright, I'm gonna pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Before I go, I'm going to give a quick shout out to our lovely bronze tier patrons. Thank you all for all you do for the channel. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you to our silver tier patron, Cade Silverman. Thank you for going above and beyond. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you to our gold tier patron, Trezum Guy. You're awesome. We love you. Thank you for subbing to Ultimate Tier. Anyway, if y'all want to get your names in the credits, get access to all of our not safe for work contents as little as $5. Alrighty, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Ooh, excuse me. Bye-bye.